Hey everybody! Welcome to Your Diagnonsense, a podcast featuring stories about relationships, sex, pleasure, and everything human. I'm your host, Todd Barretts, a sex and relationship therapist in New York City. Together, we will have an ongoing conversation focusing on the unlimited spectrum of nonsense that accompanies our lives. Join me and some of my favorite people for some casual but meaningful fun. Hey everybody, I'm here with the gorgeous and hysterical Arisce Wanzer. Arisce is a transgender supermodel, in Vogue 3 times, stand-up comedian, an actress, and most importantly, Arisce is an amazing human being. Welcome Arisce, and thank you for coming on this show.
Hello, and thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yay, same. So Arisce and I are Instagram friends. I've always been creeping on her page. We assumably have a similar sense of humor because we share some of the same stories. But I recently really upped my stalking game, and I've been watching all of your videos. And the thing that I'm like blown away by is how confident you are. You're hilarious, but part of the humor is how confident you deliver everything and just your personality in a general sense. Have you always been that confident?
That's really funny. That's not something people noticed about me because I've been in entertainment for a long time, but it's not something people noticed about me until just recently. I've been getting questions about my confidence, and so it's kind of coming at me from left field. I'm like, oh,
Really?
I'm confident. Yeah, I'm like, oh,
I
okay.
mean, you
Yeah,
are
I'm
like
give me.
commandingly confident.
That's funny.
I mean, it's
That's what's so funny
amazing.
about it. I'm like, oh wait, like I keep hearing this now, and it's just the past few months I've been hearing this, and I'm like, oh, I'm okay. I guess
Yeah.
my confidence comes from, like most things that people get in their adulthood, which is trauma.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that
Yeah.
is, but
Right? No,
kidding.
perfect
No.
childhood.
Yeah. Totally normal. But so were you confident when you were younger? Is this just how you've always been?
I I was definitely insecure.
Mm-hmm.
My confidence came from a trick that my mother taught me when I remember I came home and my brother was super popular. He was younger than me. People liked him and people were nice. Like people laughed at my jokes because I was a little bit of a class clown, not a troublemaker, but like a class clown, like where I would just have snappy things I'd say. And this is middle school. And I remember coming home and realizing like my brother always came home and he'd have friends to come home to. And I just had like my books.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would read a lot. And I just, that's where I would escape to. And that was what I, did in my spare time. I would read. But I just, I think, sorry to run, I'm like dancing around this. But I remember asking my mom, and my mom, she's like this lovely woman. Everybody loves her. She throws parties all the time, and she's everyone's best friend. And I just told her, I said, Mom, people are nice to me, and then they, make fun of me for being a weirdo, or like, they'd call me a girl, they'd call me all types of terrible names that associated me with being bad and femme. So she gave me this piece of advice that I've taken with me forever, and it's, honey, people believe what you want them to believe. So if you act like you're cool, you'll be cool. That's it. As soon as you care what they think, they will pick at you. So it's
That is some
it's
good
the power you
magic.
give up. Yeah, it's the power you give other people. And so it was a light bulb that went off because I didn't have anything else to go off of, and I had nothing to lose because I had no fucking friends. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be cool now. Like fuck that. I'm gonna be that bitch. Like I want to be, you know, I want to be that girl. Like I want to be that person, that people think is so cool, so stylish, so whatever. And I was ever since.
I mean, well, you definitely are. So middle school
Thanks.
happened and then the light bulb went off and then you were just like alakazam transformed into this confident person that you are today.
It was a development because you have to test out the water. So as soon as I remember someone called me a faggot, and I was just like, yeah, no, we're all clear on that. Like Jason, let's say his name was Jason because I think it was. And he's like, faggot, and I was like, yeah, no, we're all clear on that. Do you have another one? Does anyone have any better ones that are original? Because we heard that one yesterday, and everybody, like, it was like an uproar of laughter, and it stopped. Nobody could call me a faggot anymore. It was done.
Huh.
Like that one had been done. You have to be a little more creative. And so it used to hurt, and I used to be quiet. But as soon as I started speaking out for myself, it kind of subsided. And then I remember I joined the cheerleading squad. Well, I didn't join, I tried out and made it. And this is in high school, because this is the end of middle school when I got this valuable lesson. And I took it to high school, and I was a cheerleader, and I was popular. I was prom king of my high school, and I was openly gay. So yeah, no, so I was popular. Like, I was popular ever since. So it's one of the talents I've always had, is being popular, because I like people. I think I'm a people person. But I don't necessarily think people know exactly what they like about me, if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, you're hilarious. You're down to earth.
That's
I mean, I could
thanks.
I could
Yay,
continue
I'll take
listing
you.
if you really want me to, which I will throughout.
Do not. This would be the hardest thing to listen to ever by anyone else.
That's just what we're gonna do for the rest of this time together. I'm just gonna list all of your positive attributes, and you're gonna have to practice saying thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
But so, what was it like growing up as a young Black trans person without the language that we have today? Because today we have memes. Like, we didn't have memes growing up. There was no, there wasn't no Trans Awareness Day. Was there? I don't think there was.
No.
Like,
yeah, no, definitely not. I came out as gay. I knew I was trans, but I only knew that because of what I'd seen on Maury Povich and Jerry Springer. And so those weren't exactly. No, those were not exactly the most positive role models to have on TV for trans youth. So, yeah, no, so I knew very early on that was something I had to keep a secret. I was like, this is not going to be celebrated. No one's going to be happy about this. I'm not happy about this. I don't want to be like this. I hope it passes. And I passed myself off as a femme gay for a little while. So it was my way of staying safe, and also just being myself, because then I could still wear like girls' clothes and have long hair and wear mascara, and I just look like a femme queen to people who don't know any better.
And so did you like research? Like, how did you figure it out? Because I mean, you're in your 30s, right?
Yeah.
So like, this was what, you were when you were 18, 17?
Yeah.
So like,
I came
12
out,
years ago.
I've known I was trans since I was a little kid. Like, I would think I was 5 or 6, and I would just tell my parents, I'm like, I'm a girl. You know, like, I feel like a girl. I'd only hang out with girls. I wanted to do girl things. And, you know, playing with a pink Barbie toy is not what's going to define you as a woman. Like, you know, just so everyone knows.
How did they react to
that? Yeah. Sorry. Oh, I have 2 older sisters, and they were in ballet, they were in gymnastics, they were in all types of sports and stuff. And so I remember they would bring their recital clothes home, and I would totally get to wear them around the house. My mom was like, look, just don't leave the house. I don't want the neighbors to say anything. And so I got to wear all their tutus, and there was this blue Seek, like, satin number that was just amazing. That one was definitely my favorite. It had pink bows on the shoulders.
Ooh.
So, right, I remember that fucking dress. But yeah, like, I kind of had some freedoms while I was home, and I didn't really know I was a weirdo until I left my house. And so that's when, you know, people had something to say. But in my own home, it was a safe space for me.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, so, but there wasn't language though, and there wasn't proper research, because we didn't really have Google, because this is the 90s. And so Google is not really a thing. The internet was not a fucking thing. Like, you're going to get kicked off the internet if someone makes a phone call in your house, but people don't know about that now. Yep, dial up, honey. No, so yeah, it was a weird time, and honestly, I didn't really research it too much, because I never thought I would come out. I never thought it was going to get to a breaking point where I thought I had to tell anybody. I was like, you know what? Everyone's okay with, like, femme gays. Like, there's Jack on Will and Grace. I'll just keep doing this, you know? I was like, this is going to be just fine. And, yeah, I think the breaking point came when, you know, I think you get to a certain age and everybody wants somebody to love. Like, it's kind of a common thing a lot of us have. Like maybe someone doesn't. I don't know anyone like that, but you start to see your friends and peers pair off and then break up and then pair off again and then break up. And I'm just like, damn, I can't get one person to like me. Like I was just like, Jesus. And that's when the gay thing wasn't working out because I'm like, the gays are on to me. So like this bitch is gonna transition. Like I like dudes. So,
and when did you transition?
I came out as I started living as a woman at 19, like very like I want to say like days into turning 19. But I sort of came out as soon, but that was publicly, like when I told my family. But as soon as I moved to Miami, which was when I was 18, like I graduated high school and I moved to Miami to go to fashion school down there. And yeah, I was pretty much like, it was just, oh, by the way, I'm a girl. This is what we're doing now. I'm not like, you know, you leave your hometown and you can reinvent yourself. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm done with that bigoted Virginia shit where I couldn't tell anyone what this is. This is Miami. You know, I'm like the land of Gianni Versace. I am queer as hell and I'm out. So I just remember thinking like, I am going to have to start living as my true self if I'm going to start attracting people that like that person.
And how did that go? I mean, in terms of dating, forming relationships, looking for love, how did your experience change after you came out, transitioned?
It was slow. It was slow, but it made a lot more sense. The language still wasn't there because it still kind of isn't there. Like trans attracted men get a bad rap, and it's because there isn't really like a support group for them, you know, like because women demonize them for like they say that they like men and they do not, you know, otherwise I would date gay guys like consistently. I would only be with gay guys because hello, like I would like all of the package of that without the bullshit of straight dudes. Like I don't know. There's just a lot of
bullshit there.
What?
There's a lot of bullshit there with the straight dudes.
There's a lot of bullshit there because there's a lot of self-hatred. There's a lot of just not being in touch with every side of you because they say your feminine side. No, we're all like everything. Like you're comprised of all these different things. Feminine and masculine are just words for attributes that we've associated with a behavior. And so when people aren't in touch with a part of themselves, which is we all have a feminine side, when you're not in touch with that, there's something really wrong with you. And so society says it's okay. Like, hey, don't cry. Hey, bottle up those emotions. Hey, it's okay not to talk to anyone about these problems because you're a man. Like, you are going to be a horrible human being. And so I don't ever want to date someone like that. So it didn't bode well for a while because, you know, we could only be like a half girlfriend basically, which means they can't introduce you to their friends. They don't want to introduce you to their family. It's like a big secret. So you go into someone else's closet when you come out of your own. And so that was an issue for a while because I could tell my family, like my family knew, like they could meet anyone I was dating and I am always just this big old secret.
Did you have any did you get into a relationship and then have your partner throw you in a closet, or you know, what were those experiences like for you?
I honestly wouldn't call them relationships. I'd call them trial runs.
Okay.
Because it would never get past, you know, like a few weeks because reality would set in. Like, hey, we have to go and be in public together. Hey, like you have that birthday thing coming up. Am I invited to your birthday thing? You know, like, no, because your friends are going to be there. And that's weird, you know? So
how did you deal with that?
Match. Honestly, I didn't even feel bad because that was the norm. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I'm trans. Like, okay. Yo, like, I don't, my apologies. You know what I mean? Like, I was almost apologetic. Like, sorry, wish I could go. But it was a different time, you know? So I understood being a secret because it was hard to walk out and just be myself, like, and walk to fucking Starbucks because everyone has something to say. Because some girls, like some trans girls, they think I'm super passable and I have all this passing privilege. Bitch, I am 6 feet tall, okay? And I'm not exactly quiet, and I wear bright ass colors. And, if someone knows what a trans person's attributes are, like they will clock me. And I don't care. I don't care to be clocked. I don't care to fit in. I don't care to pass. And that's a privilege because clearly I'm pretty enough to pass in some circles. But I don't, for me personally, I don't care because it gives people too much power over what I think about myself. And I just need to get to do my day-to-day things. And so to go into someone else's closet wasn't really an option for me. So I knew that didn't fit very early on.
And so how did dating and relationships change for you from being in Miami to where you are now?
I'm like, not too much.
I was about to say, has it changed? You're like, I'm doing this call from the closet of my boyfriend.
It's funny, I actually am doing this call from my closet in my house. But
how big is your closet? Don't tell me.
It's the second bedroom.
Okay, well, fuck you.
I know. No, so I'm on a couch. So
okay,
we were having a couch session
in your closet. Okay.
Yeah.
So it has. So it's. I mean, I would assume that it's changed in some ways, but not in others.
It's changed in some ways, not in others. Like,
what are the ways in which it's changed and not changed?
Okay, so it even goes publicly. Guys, like, still aren't shouting our praises from the rooftops or saying, a lot of them still aren't saying, like, I'm attracted to trans women. Some are. Some really are. Like, that one actor, I cannot remember his name right now, but he's an actor. And he came out publicly and said, I'm attracted to trans women. I'm attracted to the female form, and that's why I'm attracted to them. It's perfectly fine. And that was really bold and brave of him, and that's still groundbreaking, and it's 2019. And then also Laverne Cox had a full-blown relationship with, a cis hetero male, and that was public. And it was still really groundbreaking. And she makes, millions of bucks. So it's like, wow, you could be the cream of the crop in your arena, and it's still not good enough for somebody who thinks that trans people are not equal to have love. And so we're still kind of there in a shitty place. But so I know a lot of girls with boyfriends who love them. So it's getting in a smaller scale, like not the famous scale. Like I think it's getting a lot better. And then I started dating, this is 3 years ago. One of my co-stars of a show was on Strut. His name is Leif. And he was trans himself. And that was a different experience altogether. And it was like being a normal person is what I would describe that as. It felt like I was in a normal relationship, having normal relationship problems. It wasn't centered around the fact that we were trans or what people thought about us. It just did not matter because we already knew each other's big hang up to society, and we didn't have that for each other because we just were in a relationship, and it happened completely on accident.
How long I was watching some of that show. It's a good show. How long were you guys together? Did you meet on the show?
We met on the show. We literally met before we filmed a reel for this party scene we were supposed to have. And he was having a photo shoot in the agency office space. And I was just coming in to do a makeup test. But we met on the show.
He's
and
hot.
They kept trying to, sorry?
I was just saying he's hot.
Oh, yeah, no, he's so hot.
So you met on the show. Are you still together?
We are friends. We think about revisiting every once in a while. It's funny, in the past 3 years, we've been apart for about over a year. Like almost, God, we've been apart for almost 2 years. God damn, it's 4 years ago that show was. Or not, the show didn't come out 4 years ago, but when we started filming the reel for it, it's like, months and months before it actually hits the air. We took like a year and a half or almost 2 years off from actually dating after we dated for about 2 years, for almost 2 years. And so we broke up, but within that 2 years, we broke up like 9 fucking times. Okay.
That's it?
Which is sorry?
I'm kidding. I said that's it. That's a lot of times. What was going on?
It's a lot of times because I don't know that it's, you go back to that familiarity, you go back to that person that really knows you, and I don't know, you test the waters, and then, he says he wasn't testing the waters and he didn't want to date anybody, but I know he dated some people. But like, honey, I have ears everywhere. But
You're like, I bugged your
ears
phone and there's a camera in your apartment. I know exactly.
Oh, please. I have a gay network who can't wait to tell. Okay.
So true.
Like, I saw that bit.
Gays are everywhere.
But yes, honey. So but I tested the waters and I dated, a few guys, and I just, it was just all the same. It was all the same again. I was like, Jesus, like, this trans thing's always going to be a thing. I don't ever wake up and think of how trans I am or how trans of an experience am I going to have today. I'm like, I need to go to Trader Joe's. I need to go to the post office. I need to go, like, I have things that regular people do. I think I know trans people, and they're some of the most boring people I've ever met in my whole life. And the most interesting about them is that they're trans. And so I just think it's so crazy when people make that our entire narrative for living. Like, oh my God, a trans person. I'm like, honestly, I don't know anyone who thinks about it like that. Who cares?
So wait, so I want to go back. So you guys broke up a bunch of times.
Please go back.
Yeah. So you broke up a bunch of times. Now you're not together, but you're friends. Are you dating anybody now?
No.
Do you use apps? Like, are you interested in?
It's funny. I'm on Araya.
Yeah. Me too. Maybe I'll see you.
Sorry.
I said I am too.
Yes.
And is that working out for you?
No, because I'm not really active. Like, I think my best relationships and the most fulfilling relationships I've had have been people I met organically. Even if it's organically online, like, let's say you met someone on Instagram, like, at least you had like a rapport going versus seeing someone's resume of why you should date me and it blowing up in my face 20 times, because I've done that. And it's not that they're bad people. It's just not everyone's who they say they are. Like, I think, like, one of the biggest compliments I get a lot is that I'm exactly who I am on the internet. Like, oh my God, you're exactly like you are online, like from your memes to your interviews. And I'm like, yeah, no, I can't be anyone else. I don't have the time. Like,
You're consistent.
Yeah, I like consistency. I think I've just said this to my friends. I'm like, why would you? Because they'll ask me to do something I would never do. Like, we're going to go rock climbing. I'm like,
oh my God,
I'm
no.
I'm pretty predictable, guys. You knew I was going to say no to this. Like, what universe do I say, hell yeah? Like, no, I'm not doing that.
That's like in your IGTV about going to a sports bar. You're like, no,
yes,
I'm not
no.
going to a sports bar.
Yes, please do not put me in an environment that I'm going to be completely uncomfortable in. Because the thing is, it's because I wouldn't do that to them. Like, I'm not going to make you go and watch me try on everything in Bergdorf, because that's my fantasy, not yours. Okay? Like, that sounds fun for me. That does not sound fun for a bystander.
Sounds fun for me.
Yes.
So it sounds like you're kind of dating-ish. What about sex? Are you having any sex?
Am I having any sex? No. Am
No.
I?
Are you?
Sort of. Yeah, no, sort of. I'll say sort of.
Sort of. Well, that's vague.
I know. Do you want me to go in? Okay.
Oh no, I'll go in. All the pun intended. So just in terms of sex, I mean, obviously, the way that we are sexually changes over time, etc. How has your sexuality evolved? Like, so from time you were younger to the time you are today, like, are there things that, have changed in terms of what you're into or what you're not into, but also in terms of how you experience your body when you're with somebody else?
Okay, so when I was younger, I was completely insecure. I thought, and I'll put it all out there, I am pre-op. If
Okay.
no one could guess that. Yeah, like you're never gonna see a close-up of me in fucking tights. It's just not gonna happen.
Oh.
But yeah, but I was in a Lululemon campaign, so haha, beat you there. But what's to say? So I will say I was super insecure at first though, because I didn't really know if I liked being touched down there. You know, like I was just like, I
Mm.
don't know if I'm supposed to like that, because I was all I knew about trans people were what I knew from the trans people, like the older trans women in Miami. They were like the trans godmothers, like your trainee godmothers. And we don't use the word
Mm.
tranny anymore, but that's basically what they were. Okay. But they would just show you the ropes and tell you what to do. And so I thought that you have to get all of the gender affirming surgeries. You have to get on hormones. You have to, get your voice changed. You have to, there's
Well,
just
that
so
was
many have
like
to.
that was like the thing. Everyone like that was trans was the standard was just to get a bunch of plastic surgery, and I think that that's like all the only role models that you had, which is what you're saying.
Yes. And so I was not comfortable in my own skin being a trans person. So before I got my breast done, I had I think I had sex one time. I think I lost my virginity, and it was to the guy I was dating. And I didn't tell him I was a virgin because I knew he would not have sex with me. He knew I was a virgin.
You were like, I just need to have
But
sex. I'm not telling you anything about me. So did you experience
yes.
like a bunch of did you experience a bunch of dysphoria, when you went to touch yourself, or if somebody touched you when you were younger? Or were you like confused? What was going on for
Not
you?
when I was not when I was alone. Because the thing is, you know what? People learn from other people. You know, like we're all sponges. So I
Mhm.
didn't learn not to I learned to not like myself from other people. And so when you tell me, like when I identify as a trans woman and they tell you everything that's wrong with you as a trans woman, that's when you start to see the cracks in your armor, and you're like, oh shit. Okay, well I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't even know if I want that, and I don't understand anything about hormones. I don't know anything about this. I don't know if I should be dating anyone if I'm not ready to be myself. And it was a really confusing, weird time where I just didn't. There was no how-to book on how to be a good or proper trans person. And so it was confusing, because then this person's telling you this, that person's telling you that. Your friends are all trying to be supportive, and they're just like, look, I don't know. Because I'm like, should I get my breast done? And they're like, yo, I'm not touching that. And I'm like, okay. Because no one wants to give you bad advice, too, like when they actually care about you. So I experienced dysphoria with men, I would say, because I didn't know whether they wanted to do all that, like go down south, or I didn't know if that was something they were attracted to, because I never knew just how far they were willing to go. Like I didn't know, because you don't know how okay with transness they are until you're alone in the room with them, and then it's kind of too late. You're like, oh crap, is this? And sure, they would know that I was trans, but I mean, do I know that I'm trans? I'm like, what is this? Like there was a lot of self-questioning happening. So it goes back to your whole confidence question. I wasn't always confident, because in that area, I was not confident. Me walking around and being funny and, trying to be pretty, that I can be funny and pretty. Like I can do those things. To me, sexually, I was so inexperienced, and I feel like everyone else is so experienced. And that is, most queer people our age and older, that was their experience, because we could not date who we wanted to in middle school. We could not have our first sexual experiences in high school like cis hetero people did, because it was kind of not allowed. Those years were not ours to live. And so when it came to sex, like I was dating older men, like, and it wasn't much older. Like, let's say I was 18, 19, they were like 25. And then, when I got to 19, then they're like 35, and then get to 40. And they just got older and older with how willing to accept me they were. And I found the older men were much more accepting, because they'd already been married. They'd already had their kids. They were like, yo, I'm having my fun now.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that's
well,
literally what it was like.
no one talks about sex. I mean, people are obviously starting to talk about sex now, but nobody especially talks about sex with trans folks. And especially
Mm-hmm.
not like 10 years ago, not 5 years ago. And still now, I mean,
Nope.
most people really aren't talking about the language to use, how to communicate, how to ask questions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's just like literally no sex ed for trans folks. So, you know, I would imagine it was just kind of like trying to walk around blind. You just like felt
That's
lost and you
exactly what
just
it was
didn't
like.
know where to go or how to get there or ask for directions.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I would describe it. Walk around blind, because I just didn't know, and you don't know who to ask, and you don't know whose advice is good. And then it turns out, you know, being older, sex is personal. Sex is not always penetrative. Sex is not always oral. Sex is not always the same fucking thing over and over again. And sex is not always BDSM. And so you learn that later, like sex is about consent and what someone else finds pleasurable. And so, and what you find pleasurable, obviously. But I think a lot of people have the wrong idea of sex. And I'm not saying I have the right idea, but I think when I do have sex with people, we have a great time because I am a great communicator.
Yeah,
Like,
well, that's what I was going to
that's
say is like, you know, you don't have the choice just not to communicate because I would imagine that, you know, as soon as somebody misgenders or uses the wrong word to describe, you know, body parts, that it just takes you out. So I would imagine that you probably have to give, you know, a bit of a communicative manual or instructions to be like, okay, this is what I want.
it's funny you say that because I can remember specifically, this is years ago, but it was an older older guy I was seeing. And it's funny because, you know, I'm a trans woman. He was like, show me your cock. And I was like, my what? I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, chill out, dude. that's,
Like,
that's what
that's
I
not
said
the
to him. I was
word
like,
that I
chill out.
use.
Yeah, I was like, that's a porn word for white guys who are swinging D at 9 inches. Okay, like let's calm this down, you know. And it's not that, and I'm not uncomfortable with my genitals anymore. Like I was taught to be uncomfortable with my genitals, and so I'm very okay with it. But like I like just chill with the language. I'm like, it was just so aggressive. I'm like, this is aggressive. Like I'm already here. Like, why are we?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even
Why,
necessarily have to be a trans thing. I mean, it can just be more of a way in which you want some kind of preparation before you get like attacked with certain language.
yeah, and the thing is, it's not it's because it always comes, like something like that always comes out of left field, because they'll have been opening the door for you, treating you like a lady, like, oh, you look absolutely beautiful today, and bring you flowers, and it's like, show me your cock. You're like, ah, like, ah, like I
You
wasn't
need
ready
to
for this.
do, you need to, this is what your next YouTube video should be.
What is
Seriously.
it? Oh, having a tutorial on how to talk to trans women when you want to fuck them.
Yes. I mean, don't you, I mean,
That's not a bad idea. That's not
I
a
think
bad
it would
idea. I
be
think
so
that's a good idea. I'm
helpful and
just, oh my God,
educational
my
and
mom is going
fun.
to see that. Say that again.
I think it would be so helpful and really fun.
That is funny. I know, you're probably are absolutely right. Damn it, you're right. So I think I
I
will
mean,
have
and the
to.
irony is that, you know, I think a lot of trans people are like hypersexualized and super sexualized as being this object. Obviously, like the whole fetishistic trans stuff that happens. But like, so that goes on, but there's then absolutely no kind of regular conversation about what is involved with your sexuality as an individual.
Yeah, no, not at all. Absolutely not at all. Because as I'm saying this stuff to you, I'm like, this is the first time I've ever heard this out loud. You know, so I'm like, other people hearing this is probably the first time they're hearing it out loud. And
Yeah,
so,
nobody's
because a
talking
lot
about
of girls, yeah, because a lot of girls don't want to talk about their genitals. They don't want to share or disclose what they have. And I get the privacy, but the privacy, I'm gonna have to be the one that's not private. And I've always told my mom that. I said, well, like all these firsts, like I've been the first of a lot of things, because they just now letting trans people in the door. Like they just now gave us a seat at the table. It's a small seat. It's like a booster seat, but we'll see.
it.
It's true. No, but I told my mom, I was like, it's gonna be me. Like I know it's gonna be me because I'm the only one that's willing to just tell the fucking truth. Like I want to tell the truth about everything. And so I would like to share with people that we're just people, you know? So if you know about our genitals, then maybe you won't be so afraid of them. Like us being so shrouded in mystery, I'm not saying you shouldn't have your privacy. Like private parts are private parts, but I mean, us being so shrouded in mystery is not going to help anyone learn anything. because then they see us as these mysterious things to be feared. And no one should be afraid of me. Like, don't be so, you should be afraid of me because I don't want to talk to you. Like, don't just walk up to me because I probably don't want to talk to you. Not like in the club. I mean, like if I'm pumping gas, because then you're going to freak me out. But I mean, if to know about trans people, like if you see a trans person, I hope you know more about them than what you could ask me. And so if you can hear it from me, I think that's probably really helpful, because I only know my experiences, but I'd love to share them.
I mean, I think that would be awesome. But there, I mean, there's so much obsession with genitals in the first place that I think that for most people, you know, it's a struggle to feel connected in a positive way. And then when you add, you know, a history of people treating you differently just because of your genitals, you know, I think it gets heightened to a new level. But then, you know, I think then it creates a sense of mystery, as you were saying, and just kind of cluelessness for everybody. So it's kind of hard to straddle literally the line between, you know, what is a comfortable level of discussion and conversation around genitals, and then, you know, what is maybe even offensive. And I think it's just like has to be individually defined about who, in terms of privacy, in terms of what people prefer. But it's definitely just
Yeah,
absent. It's just 100% absent in the conversation about sexuality.
I completely agree. And then it's also just so perceived, like everything, we're very visual creatures. So if you see man, you see man. If you see woman, you see woman. When really, everyone's genitals are a complete mystery, because there are, you know, like 3% or something of the population's, what is it called? It's not asexual. What the hell is it called? We all know what it is. Like, we all know what it is. God damn it. I cannot believe I just missed the word. Intersex. Intersex.
Oh,
That's the word. Yeah, it's like 3%.
I didn't know
And
where
that's
you were
as
going
many
with that.
people are, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so it's as many people are intersex in the world as there are redheads. Did you know that?
Did not know
And
that. That's
so,
a cool stat.
yes, that's, yeah, and how many redheads do we know? That's so fucking common.
A
And so
lot.
you think you see someone, you think you can assume their genitals. You cannot, because they could have both. They could have one being a little more prevalent than the other. And I just think it's so funny that people think they know when they have no idea about anything. And I think the sooner we all figure out that we don't know just what we think we know, like we'll be a lot more open to understanding and just actually listening to people, because people usually, they'll tell you something with no intent of listening to your opinion about it. They just tell you what they want to hear repeated back to them so that they know that they're right.
Yeah, and I think there's just like so much focus on genitals and just in a general sense, especially when it comes to sex as being so centralized around, you know, how to have sex. And that's just because people define sex as penetration, which is just like pretty normative and or heteronormative. But it's not. I want you to do that video. I would watch and rewatch it multiple times.
Okay, I will
And I
have
know that like a
to.
lot of my clients would really benefit from it too, a lot of my trans clients. But
Oh,
so, so, so what is sex like for you now? I mean, do you feel, I think I already asked you this, but I just want to kind of go back to it. Like, do you feel comfortable and as confident as you are, you know, non-sexually, with your sexuality? Now, do you find that there are certain areas that are more challenging for you than others? Where are you with
okay.
that?
Well, with my age, I've realized, you know, having had my sexual experiences, I'm on the spectrum of asexual, because I can like give or take it. Like I'm really not pressed. Like I don't ever, it's never in the forefront of my mind, not ever, because I have friends that I've never been able to relate to where they're just like, oh man, I haven't gotten laid in 6 months. I'm like, I'm going on 9 and I forgot. Like I literally just had to count backwards. I don't remember. It's because it's not something it's just not on my agenda. Like I always think of just like fame and money. So,
Very important
those,
things.
yes, they're always on the first 2 burners, and then the back burner would be sex and love, which is not necessarily healthy, but there would have served me well in a time where trans people weren't exactly celebrated or even let into the room. And so me focusing on fame and money has always been lucrative. They've always been great bets because sex and love, oof, that department I've always only ever been disappointed in. And so, yeah, I'm definitely on the asexual, but I always have been. Like, even as a kid, I remember, I'll give you a story. I remember masturbating for the first time, and it was because I felt like I had to. I was like, because all my friends, I think I was 14,
Did you
and
like
all my
it?
friends were like, it was weird. It was so weird. I was just like, oh my God, why are people doing this more than 3 times a day? Because I remember I had a friend who was like, oh my God, I masturbated like 6 times today. And I'm like, you did? And I'd never masturbated once. And I was like, 6 times? I didn't understand. And then I'd never felt it. I'd never felt that horny. I had crushes. Like, I absolutely have crushes. I absolutely, like, I love guys. I think guys are so hot. The way they treat me, not so hot, but whatever.
Yeah. Really?
Right? I was like, that's, yeah, no, just like, I think, again, that's changing, but
Yeah.
because of trans acceptance, but like in the past, how men have treated trans women has been just a sin, like a crime. Like, we're literally killed every 2 weeks, according to statistics.
I've
And
heard those
so,
stats. They're horrifying.
yeah, and it's usually
Terrifying.
from men that they love or say that they love them or whatever, like, or guys
Well, I
they were
think that would
dating or guys they
be
were.
enough for anybody to want to put love and sex on the back burner.
Absolutely. Like, because I also care about my safety. I'm just like, I still just, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, but I don't want to go out like that. I'd rather I'm trying to be on my own terms as much as possible, as much as I can control, which I can't control any of it, but, love and sex, definitely on the back burner, because as a trans woman too, you're fetishized so much that you kind of get like, I have like a permanent eye roll when someone's like into me, because I have to figure out what the reasons are. I'm like, oh, they're into me. Why? Did they hear something? Like, did they, like, I don't know, like, what do they want? Like, I'm always trying to figure out what they want, because I'm like, there's no way they like me. Like, I think they're just looking for another one. And so if I'm going out with a guy, like, I will absolutely stalk him everywhere and see how many trans girls we know in common, because I have gone on dates with just, these fetishizers who, like, they dated like 6 or 7 trans women that and then one of them I went on a date with, and he told me on the date, he's like, oh yeah, I used to date Isis King, and we were on the same show together. This is before I ever met her, but I was like, what? And then before that, he dated another prominent trans model that I'm not going to say her name because I'm sure she'd be so pissed. I'm saying Isis because she knows about this and we've talked about it, but the other one we have not talked about it. But anyway, but so you're like, oh wow, so you're not actually interested in me at all. Like, you just have a type and I fit the type and you just want to try it out. Got it. That's annoying because I don't know. I just, my suspicions are very high when someone's quote unquote into me. Like, I'm like, what do you need? Do you need something? What do you want?
That sounds so rough. I mean, so how do you deal with that? Do you just like say check please and peace out, or like what do you do?
I drink heavily. Okay. No, now I'm
Necessary.
gonna order. Yeah, no, because if I like you, it's gonna be a cheap date. Like, it'll be like the house red and good conversation. I won't even order an appetizer. But versus if you are just giving me douchebag, I'm like, can I get the menu, please? I'm like, we
You're
would
like, I'll
love.
get the lobster and the fillet.
Exactly, to go.
But so it sounds like, in some ways well, for a long time, you've preserved yourself by kind of creating a bit of distance between love and sex. But it sounds like what you had with Laith was a bit different. Um, but now it just feels, I would imagine what you're saying is it just feels kind of like automatic, that it's not the first thing on your list. It's not the second thing on your list either. And you're used to it. But is that what you want? And that's not a question,
I think,
with value saying, well, do you really want, I'm just curious, like, what do you want?
oh yeah, yeah, no, I like it. Like, I like it because I'm not a slave to it. Because I know people, dear friends of mine, who are just like, oh yeah, I'd hook up last night, or I'd hook up the night before, I'd hook up like, and it's like, oh my God, it's so awkward the next morning. And I'm like, ew. Like,
Well,
not
first,
that it's
why are you
ew.
having them stay overnight? Like,
Right? That's my first thought. I'm like, bitch, you can't give them the $15 for a fucking Uber. Get them out of your fucking house.
bye.
Because I love, that's the other thing too, like, because I live alone, like, I love my peace, you know? So for you to interrupt my peace, you have to be special. Like, if you're not special, I'm not really interested in hosting. Like, I don't want you over here.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I was in a relationship for a while, and so now that I'm like single as an adult and dating, it's just like it's really time consuming. And the thought of not being just totally enraptured by the whole thing sounds really kind of nice. So what are you working on now? What's your focus? Fame and money.
Uh, Fame and money, honey. Yeah, so fame and money. Being understood by the general public, and that's why I've started my YouTube channel, because my manager, my agents, they want me to be relatable, and a lot of people don't like, or they, I'm seen as not relatable because everything is always so fucking glamour with me, I guess, all the time. When that's all I've ever wanted, like that's
That's so
all I've ever
weird
wanted. I
because
love.
the reason why I like found you on Instagram and why I like you and why I wanted to talk to you today was because you're so relatable.
Thank you. I'd like to think I'm relatable. I don't know. I talk
But so people are
normally. I
telling you that you're
talk
not relatable?
just, I guess, to casting directors and people holding auditions, like they think I look bitchy or snooty or uppity or too glamour. I remember I had my hair down and I had no makeup on for this casting, and this woman that was running it, they were like, "Can you be a little less glam?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And they gave me like a hair tie, and we tie my hair up, and she was like, "It's not working." I said, I'm a model. I'm a fashion model. I can't be any less glam than no makeup and my hair's in a ponytail. And I'm not in a ball gown either. It was like a short shorts and like ripped up short shorts, by the way, from like American Eagle, and a tank top that was like loose fitting. I'm like, where's the glam? So it's all about perception. And I don't know. I haven't really tapped into what Hollywood wants. Otherwise, you'd see me on TV a lot more. Um, in the form of perception where they want me, and I'm not. I'm also not giving a lot of give. Like I'm trying to give a lot of myself, like be relatable, as in just tell people who I am and be who I am. But I'm not willing to compromise what I am. So because a lot of the trans narrative is that we're down and out, that we're all like these street walking like sex workers, and that we're all, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when that's the only narrative you paint for us, there's something wrong with that. Because like I say this all the time, like I was an equestrian for 5 years. I was a captain of my cheerleading squad. I had a BMW when I was 16. I don't know that. So for you to paint that for all of us is really dangerous, because young kids that are like me don't see themselves on TV, and they don't see another way out for themselves. Because if you do sex work, I hope it's your choice to do sex work. I have a lot of friends who are sex workers, have a great time, they love it. And it's like their calling, it's what they do. But it should not, like if you're a little trans kid and you want to grow up to be like a doctor or a trans model, God forbid, I'd hope that you could see yourself on TV somewhere that someone gave an accurate narrative of. Because even extras in Hollywood, they're always cis and hetero. Like, when are you going to see a gay extra couple in the back holding hands? When some straight girl that it's about that moved to New York City is walking around in a mall or something. Like, it's dangerous not to have us as even extras in everyday life, because we're there. We're always there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the lack of visibility is a huge problem, especially for young kids. I mean, I know that it was
Yeah.
for me, and it's a totally different issue, but still, I mean, when I was growing up, there was like literally Will and Grace. Um,
That was it.
it was like, okay, I'm gay, I can be like a hairdresser. But there weren't like
Yeah.
any other examples of like people that were gay and professionals, or just living
Yeah.
life
Why not a
not.
gay therapist?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, visibility in a diverse way is so necessary. But so then, what are you doing to become more relatable?
I'm just, I'm doing these YouTube videos with no makeup on, and my like
Okay.
hair is tied in a knot on the back of my head. What?
I'm sure you still look
You know,
good.
I look fine, like, cause I know what I look like. I'm like, whatever, like, but it's not glam. Like, if you think that's glam, please eat shit. If you don't cast me because of that, like, you've got to be kidding. And
Well, that's just
so,
stupid because it's like if you're going to be cast in something, they're going to put you in makeup and a hair and an outfit in some way, whatever they want to do it in the first place. So what does it matter what you look like when you go to a casting?
exactly, because it doesn't really, I don't know, it just really sucks when
People have no imagination.
yeah, exactly, and then they're in casting. I'm like, oh my god. So I have a bone to pick with a lot of casting directors. I'm like, you guys are trash, yo. It's just
Bizarre.
true. It's true, but yeah, it's just I think Hollywood is moving at a very, very glacial pace, and it is frustrating because I'm not getting any younger. And so I would need like the Hillary Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air of trans people role for me, because that's what's gonna fit. That's what's going to look the most natural and be just as funny on TV.
They should bring Fresh Prince back. And then you
They're
should.
bringing everything else back. Why
Well,
not Fresh Prince and then make me Hillary?
I
Make
mean,
me
that's where I'm
Hillary.
going
Jesus
with this.
Christ.
I mean,
Right? Come
I like that
on,
fantasy.
please.
Well, I think you're really relatable, and I think you're really great. Um, well, you have said it all, literally. And I've really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you again for coming on. I think we covered a lot of good shit. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Also, I'm hosting the first trans model search in February for Slay
What?
Model Management.
Where is that?
It will be at One Culver in Los Angeles.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I think it should be on Logo, but I think that's what the contract said, but I have to make sure.
That sounds really awesome. So
Thank you.
if I want to direct everybody to go and follow you and find you, what are the best ways to do that?
You can find me on YouTube, Arisce Wanzer on YouTube, and then you'll see my Aristocrat. And I'm at Aristocrat on all other platforms like Tumblr and Instagram and Twitter.
For a while, I thought like I like didn't get that your name was Arisce, and I was like, I would always like internally when I was talking to myself and creeping on your page say like aristocrat, and then like I don't know who I was talking to, but they like mentioned your name, and I was like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. Like what the fuck? I don't know why it's not important, but nonetheless, at
That's amazing.
aristocrat. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been an idiot like that, but at aristocrat and Arisce Wanzer on YouTube. Um, any other places? What are those?
Um,
What is the first one? So they're the two shows that you're on. I was watching them today. They're really good actually. And they're on Prime
uh,
Video.
oh, Fish Tank.
Yeah, Fish Tank, and
Yeah,
then
Fish Tank on, yeah, and then Strut. It was the other one.
yes, so
Yeah,
good.
Fish
Really
Tank I
amazing.
executive produced.
That's
Yes.
cool. All right, Aries. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Um,
Oh my God, I will. Thank you.
Thank you for trusting me with your valuable time and listening to this podcast. You can find everything we discussed today and more in the show notes. You can also find more information about our past guests on my website, toddsbarretts.com. Follow me on Instagram at Your Diagnonsense for more meaningful and fun content about the human curriculum. Thanks again for listening, and check back for the next upcoming episode of Nonsense.